IBCM accepts the challenge. Corporate Common Denominator. Unleashing World Economic Forum's Stakeholders Capitalism Metrics for a consistent reporting of sustainable value creation. Measuring Stakeholder Capitalism, SCM. 1. 21 core metrics, and 34 expanded metrics and disclosures. 2. The metrics should be capable of verification and assurance. 3. Align corporate values and strategies with the UN Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. 4. Long-term value, the interests of all stakeholders. 5. Conclusions of our project, to define common metrics for sustainable value creation. 6. Stakeholder Capitalism Metrics, SCM, to align mainstream reporting on performance, environmental, social and governance, ESG, indicators. 7. CDP, CDSB, GRI, IIRC, SASB, towards a joint vision for a single, coherent, global ESG reporting system. The 4 pillars. 1. Principles of governance. 2. Planet. 3. People. 4. Prosperity. The definition of governance is evolving, as organizations are increasingly expected to define and embed their purpose at the center of their business, but the principles of agency, accountability, and stewardship continue to be vital for truly good governance. Core metrics, 5, and expanded metrics, 6. Total, 11. Core metrics. 1. Governing purpose. 2. Quality of governing body. 3. Ethical behavior, anti-corruption. 4. Ethical behavior, protected ethics advice, and reporting mechanisms. 5. Risk and opportunity oversight, integrating risk and opportunity into business process. Pillar 1. Principles of governance, expanded metrics. 6. Governing purpose, purpose-led management. 7. Quality of governing body, progress against strategic milestones. 8. Quality of governing body, remuneration. 9. Ethical behavior, alignment of strategy and policies to lobbying. 10. Ethical behavior, monetary losses from unethical behavior. 11. Risk and opportunity oversight, economic, environmental and social topics in capital allocation framework. Pillar 2. Planet, an ambition to protect the planet from degradation, including through sustainable consumption and production, sustainably managing its natural resources, and taking urgent action on climate change so that it can support the needs of the present and future generations. Pillar 2. Core metrics. 3. And expanded metrics. 12. Total. 15. 1. Climate change. 2. Nature loss. 3. Freshwater availability, water consumption, and withdrawal in water-stressed areas. Pillar 2. Planet, expanded metrics. 4. Climate change, Paris-aligned GHG emissions targets. 5. Climate change, impact of GHG emissions. 6. Nature loss, land use and ecological sensitivity. 7. Nature loss, impact of land use and conversion. 8. Freshwater availability, impact of freshwater consumption and withdrawal. 9. Air pollution, 10. Air pollution, impact of air pollution. 11. Water pollution, nutrients. 12. Water pollution, impact of water pollution. 13. Solid waste, single-use plastics. 14. Solid waste, Impact of solid waste disposal. 15. Resource availability, resource circularity. Pillar 3. People, an ambition to end poverty and hunger, in all their forms and dimensions, and to ensure that all human beings can fulfill their potential in dignity and equality, and in a healthy environment. Pillar 3. People, core metrics. 10. And expanded metrics. 9. Total. 19. Core metrics. 1. Dignity and equality, diversity and inclusion, in percent. 2. Dignity and equality, wage level, in percent. 3. Dignity and equality, risk for incidents of child, forced or compulsory labor. 4. Health and well-being, health and safety, in percent. 5. Skills for the future, training provided, in dollar sign. 6. Employment and wealth generation, absolute number and rate of employment. 7. Employment and wealth generation, economic contribution. 8. Employment and wealth generation, financial investment contribution. 9. Innovation of better products and services, total R&D expenses, in dollar sign. 10. Community and social vitality, total tax paid. Pillar 3. People, expanded metrics. 11. Dignity and equality, pay gap. 12. Dignity and equality, discrimination and harassment, and the total amount of monetary losses. 13. Dignity and equality, freedom of association and collective bargaining at risk. 14. Skills for the future, monetized impacts of training, increased earning capacity, as a result of training intervention. 15. Dignity and equality, human rights review, grievance impact and modern slavery. 16. Dignity and equality, living wage. 17. Health and well-being, monetized impacts of work-related incidents on organization. 18. Health and well-being, employee well-being. 19. Skills for the future, number of unfilled skilled positions. Pillar 4. Prosperity, an ambition to ensure that all human beings can enjoy prosperous and fulfilling lives, and that economic, social, and technological progress occurs in harmony with nature. Pillar 4. Prosperity, core metrics. 3. And expanded metrics. 7. Total. 10. 1. Employment and wealth generation, absolute number and rate of employment, economic contribution, financial investment contribution. 2. Innovation of better products and services, total R&D expenses. 3. Community and social vitality, total tax paid. Pillar 4. Expanded metrics. 4. Employment and wealth generation, infrastructure investments and services supported. 5. Employment and wealth generation, significant indirect economic impacts. 6. Innovation of better products and services, social value generated. 7. Innovation of better products and services, vitality index. 8. Community and social vitality, total social investment. 9. Community and social vitality, additional tax remitted. 10. Community and social vitality, total tax paid by country for significant locations.
In brief, a World Economic Forum's recent report on SCM, Stakeholder Capitalism Metrics. It has got two objectives. One, towards common metrics. Number two, a consistent reporting of sustainable value creation. Interesting. More importantly, quite challenging. I'm taking the challenge of these two factors, getting a common metrics and consistent reporting of value creation, sustainable value creation. Thank you. Based on my book published recently, which is Corporate Citizenship and Sustainability, Measuring Intangible, Fiscal and Ethical Assets. This particular book gives a lot of information. One of the things which I want to do right now with regard to SCM is to positioning stakeholder capitalism metrics in a framework which is designed especially for this book, which is called CREAM, a rating framework. CREAM stands for corporate governance, risk management, earnings, accounting quality, and management quality. To go further, corporate social responsibility is split into two factors. While going through this SCM, Stakeholder Capitalism Metrics report, I did not find once corporate social responsibility being mentioned at all. So be it. But I have seen materiality being mentioned 29 times. In the context of these two objectives, materiality and corporate social responsibility go hand in hand with these two objectives of common metrics and value creation. Value creation is intangible and common metrics is tangible. And I'd be pleased to elaborate further on that. So corporate social responsibility is split into two factors: corporate fiscal responsibility and corporate ethical responsibility. Under corporate fiscal responsibility, this CREAM report is being created. C, corporate governance or risk management form one part of the fiscal responsibility. E, earnings, has got two functions: one profits, another growth. Then AM, accounting quality and management quality, which will form part of the corporate ethical responsibility. I will come to the corporate ethical responsibility, particularly on A&M. Accounting quality, full of accounting standards and various connected regulatory provisions. They are mandatory. Whereas management quality, it starts with two: AOA and MOA, Articles of Association and Memorandum of Association. These two is a combined regulatory requirement before a corporate or a joint stock company has started as a public limited company. This provides a combination of ethical motive and profit motive, which you will see under E, profits and growth, the purpose of it. then it contains quite a number of, there is lot, management quality contains quite a number of mandatory as well as non-mandatory. The mandatory ones comes as to the decision making process. Like for example, HACCP is mandatory if the company wants to go for HACCP part of it. But most of these areas under this management quality is non-mandatory. Like if you go for a code of conduct, code of business principles, these are all non-mandatory, or COSO framework or TQM. They are all not mandatory as such. It is non-mandatory, but the decision by the board of directors that we want to have one of the finest company in the world, they introduce these non-mandatory provisions even though it is not being imposed upon them. In that sequence of various policy documents which are being absorbed by a company, one of them is UNCAC, United Nations Conventions Against Corruption. Why I mention that is, number one, it is one of the best or the best policy document ever created by anybody. This, when a company, is it mandatory or non-mandatory? All the countries in the world have ratified UNCAC, barring two small ones. But the country concerned, if they have not established after the UNCAC being ratified, and establish people and the board and the body to oversee how it is being run, then it becomes, UNCAC becomes the most powerful function in a country, national requirements of various areas, which is mainly anti-corruption. But it is not being done for a simple reason, like Beckett being appointed by the king as Archbishop of Canterbury, turns around and becomes more powerful. In the sense he abides by certain laws. So there is a fear among the national politicians not to appoint a body on UNCAC. This is the fact. But UNCAC is mandatory. Like for example, UNGC is not ratified by any country, but it is being given as part of the signatories. So there are two things. One is being a signatory to UNCAC and being a UNCAC being ratified by the country. When it is being ratified, as it is in UNCAC, India, United States, everywhere, it is mandatory for the corporate. Please note, corporate has to be very, very careful about it, and they have to measure the action taken on UNCAC. It is mandatory because it's not simply a signatory. The country concerned is not just a signatory, because it has got cross-border requirements to be fulfilled. If any one company fails with relate to another company in another country, that country or that particular company can sue you. There could be a lot of problems coming in. So UNCAC is a mandatory one. Why I insist on that UNCAC is being a mandatory policy document to be measured by a company is because when we say sustainable reporting consistent reporting of sustainable value creation. That UNCAC will star among the stars, will go for sustainable value creation for years to come. So don't miss it. That is one. In coming to the other areas which are mostly non-mandatory, like for example UNGC is non-mandatory, UN 17 development goals, sustainable development goals, they are not mandatory. They are non-mandatory requirements suggested by UN initiative. These 21 core metrics and 34 expanded metrics is like one of those 17 SDGs. They are non-mandatory. 140 IBC members have agreed to use these metrics for the purpose of their annual report presentation, how they are doing. And also it is suggested in the ASEAN World Economic Forum report that these 140 members would call upon other companies within their group and within their nation, within their outside associates, to go in for this ASEAN presentation, reporting, consistent reporting based on these metrics. So this is where we are now as far as this ASEAN is concerned. The place, the slot that you have is management quality under corporate ethical responsibility. That's where it is sitting at the moment. The cream, when you say corporate governance and risk management, it gives sustainability of efficiency. When there is a sustainability of efficiency in a company, definitely there will be profits. When sustainability of value creation, value system within a company, which is part and parcel of the ethical responsibility, corporate ethical responsibility, then that alone will see that there is a sustainability of profits and growth. Sustainability of profits and growth would depend upon the value system within the company. That's why these metrics, which had been imposed upon through the influence of the society, calling upon the company to make use of it, it becomes crucial for the purpose of development of sustainable value creation. Why it is not being done, how it is being very difficult, I will explain next with regard to what had been already published through my book. In CREAM report, we did mention about several areas, an organized approach to tangible, qualitative and quantitative elements of management. If you look at that CREAM report, only one area is quantitative, that is earnings. CRAM, all qualitative elements of management. Somehow we have been managing only with quantitative elements of management, like for example return on investment. In the book, my book, I have given analysis of 170 process blocks that occupy this CREAM report. Out of the 170 12 are quantitative, represented in earnings. The balance 158, they are all qualitative elements of management. The earnings represent two products every company has. One is profits, another is growth. In order that we have profits and growth, the raw materials input are CRAM. That is corporate governance, risk management, accounting quality, and management quality. We also said corporate governance and risk management, sustainable efficiency factors provide you with definitely profits, no doubt about it. When you fail the whole profits also. Whereas sustainable value system alone can assure a sustainable profits as well as growth. So sustainable value system is the most important thing in running an organization. I would like to highlight two areas that are preventing corporate to go to the top level. Let me go back to 1966 when, as far as I am concerned, I heard the expression goal congruence, which came in the book Management Control System by Anthony Dearden and Matson. Goal congruence is an excellent philosophy, but it's tough to follow, to practice. Goal congruence in a company as on today, when we try to do that, in a company with as many people, could be 500 or it could be 500,000, there are several goalposts for each one of them, which may vary with a goal congruence, one after the other. When we do that analysis, which we normally do, it is the organization structure that we have. The organization structure that we have is almost like China's organization structure. It is hierarchical, one-man call center. The same thing applies to every corporate, every company. It is a one-man call center. The CEO, VP1, VP2, VP3, VPN, it keeps on going. When the targets are given and the adverse variances start coming in, whether it's 500 or 500,000 people, they sit down and debate why the other fellow is wrong because of this adverse variance. Invariably, if you look at the company's operation, manufacturing, marketing, buying, accounting, everybody blames the other guy. But for you, I would have got everything great. And no VP accepts other VP's argument and tries to get your own views established. And this is a major problem because of your organization structure, the hierarchical one-man organization structure. That is the problem number one. You've got to break it. If you break it, you have something beyond to look at, to arrive at common metrics. The common metrics that you are looking for is missing in this flat organization. There is no common metrics applied in variance analysis between VP1 and VP3. VP2 may agree with either one of them due to any number of reasons, but we do not apply it because you do not have a common metrics. So you have to break this organization structure. That is one. If you succeed in breaking this organization structure, when you create a new one, which my book has established very extensively, is called corporate atomic structure. When you have the corporate atomic structure installed in your company, if you look at that, what I've given, the cream report is assigned to three different people. They intend three different sectors: proton, electron, neutron. The corporate structure is the same as that of the universe. This is something remarkable, missing. I wonder why. When the entire universe, repeat, the entire universe, where even the solar system is not even a speck, not even a dot, the one corporate and the government alone do not follow the principles of nature. We have established that. When we say governance, we are evolving governance. I don't want to use the bad word. It is not evolving. It had evolved 4.5 billion years back. Having evolved, we got to absorb what the nature does. Then you can get the common metrics, you can get the accountability factor, and you are also aligned with nature. Then ethical responsibility gets aligned with fiscal responsibility. Then the sustainable value creation, it gets automatically done. Automatically. That depends upon the corporate atomic structure. So the two major areas that we looked at it. One is getting the present organization structure, which is flat, break it. Then you get the common metrics for everybody. Then what you see is the n-dimensional functions are converted into n functions of a single dimension. You have the corporate atomic structure, which is mathematically correct in terms of your benchmarking, in terms of your metrics. So the common metrics and value creation aspects of what SEM is looking for, we can get it. Let me explain one by one. IBCM, Inactivity Based Cost Management. Activity has got a cost incidence. We show it in the balance sheet. Inactivity has got a cost consequence. Measure cost consequence now is the theme of that IBCM. It has got 5 principles. Principle number 1, what gets measured gets managed. Out of the 170 process blocks, which I had indicated in the CREAM report, 12 belong to quantitative elements of management. The balance 158 of qualitative elements of management, which contains from how the board of directors function, how the independent director of that, code of business principle, code of conduct, UNGC, COSO framework, conflict of interest, conflict of personal interest, conflict of conscience, insider trading. All these forming part of the 158. 12 are measured because they are quantitative. 158 are not measured, so they are not managed properly. That is principle 1. Principle number 2, how to measure qualitative elements of management. Ethics is subtler than the subtle. Ethical motive is subtler than the subtlest. What you will find from the book is a methodical, creative process, taking out of nothing where ethical motive is in the space of nothingness. From there, how it proceeds in 6 stages to a quality substance. Once that is where we are living, a three-dimensional universe we are living. It has to be on the tangible substance. Substance of quality once is being created, we are in a position to identify what we are talking about. So that is principle number 2. Principle number 3 is corporate atomic structure, which I had already indicated just now. In the corporate atomic structure functions exactly same as atomic structure. You have policies, you have practices, and the people. The people belong to the society. Practices is the CEO team, and the policies headed by the board of directors. Policies and the people, that's a society, join together to form a nucleus, and CEO team spins around the nucleus. In the atomic structure, the electron spins around the nucleus at nearly 3/4 of the speed of light. So is the case with our CEO team. And they are like beaver, walks a lot and makes a lot of quick, quite a speedy guy. So that leadership should not go astray. As in the neutron, which does not change the influence, the identity of atom, the society does not change or influence the identity of the company, but it adds mass to it. When something is being added mass to a company like this, these are the things, the provisions of regulatory and even 21 metrics and 34 expanded metrics are because of the suggestion. This is what we feel. The World Economic Forum Wiseman had created these 21 core metrics and 34 expanded metrics only under the assumption that the society is going to demand certain things which we would be ready to present to them. That's how it functions. That nucleus is the stabilizing factor. When there is ethical responsibility is undertaken by a company, as indicated in the CRIM rating, and then the management quality and accounting quality are the perfect. The sustainability of the value system, when it is being integrated with the board of directors, with the stakeholders, you have a CEO team that can afford to spin around that nucleus in any manner they want and go to the stratosphere if they want, because they will not go astray. This is the principle under corporate atomic structure, which also gives the benchmarking and also the metrics. Metric is 0 to 5, which you will be able to see from the book. The fourth is the return on intangible. Let me briefly tell you how it functions, how the universe functions. Image is, if you look at the claim reports, the quantitative elements of management is matter. The 158 elements of management, qualitative, they are the energy force. So that is how the universe functions. Energy is liberated matter. That is the first law. And matter is energy waiting to happen. That is the second law. That is where inactivity arises, NPA arises, and we have a lot of problem going to NCLT and various other problems. So it's a very crucial one. The third law, when matter and antimatter collide, it forms pure energy. A lot of elaborate discussion had, write-up had taken place in the book, which you kindly see, as to defining intangible. Intangible is being the pulsating energy, available only with a human being, nobody else. That pulsating energy is the denominator. Common to all is a constant, whether it's a partner or a nuclear scientist. And that intangible is the effort that one puts in. So when you put it as an equation, ROI is an equation, where action or inaction takes place in the numerator. When it's an action, it is 1. It's a binary value that we get. So every task is being assigned to 5 different people. 1 from ethical responsibility and 4 from the fiscal responsibility. When it's being assigned and they are yoked together as a team, but they work independently. One fellow may get the optimum rating of 5. 4 fellows may get it. One fellow gets only about 4. Then the team ranking is only 4 versus 24 divided by 5 gets you only about the integer being taken, and you have only 4. When a company with about 500,000 people, with 100,000 team, and everything is earmarked for the purpose of the several tasks under 170 process blocks, which may add up to another 17 SDGs, another 21 plus 34 metrics given by WEF. You have more and more of open-ended process blocks come. Then you have a more number of performance analysis being done. You have 100,000 teams, and barring one, everybody gets about the optimum level of 5. One team gets only about 4. The whole 100 corporate rating will be only 4. There is no separate corporate rating for the company. There will be a individual rating which gets added up and is the power force how it is being done. This is the pulsating energy force, which has to push the second law, every matter that they come across, to the first law. Energy is a liberated matter. You want to liberate that matter which is sitting there as an NPA. We can't afford to do that. When we try to do that at the optimum level of performance, the inactivity is 0 at optimum. If there is 4, then inactivity is 1. So 1 upon 25 for a team. So you have the index of inactivity of 100,000 teams or 500,000 members. Each person's performance is being measured, and you have how many number of persons at the optimum level, how many persons in 4, 3, 2. The intention is each team member is being pulled out to get the optimum level of 5. Why? Because that is what they are competing with. When you have a CAGR and being converted into CDGR, daily growth rate, and being assigned every day, that is the governance as a function which is dynamic function. Every day we know who are the people who are going on. They are competing with each other. It's like running a 100 meters race in Olympics. Each person performs looks at it. They are not looking at the adverse variance and keep fighting the other fellow is wrong. This is finding out who the person is the best. And that is how the return on tangible comes. It is very challenging and most interesting. It all depends upon the strategy plan that you make on the 6 stages. Once it is done, as I said, is a linear expansion. Each person has to move the matter from one to the other. Then you have a complete performance targets being met on a daily basis. So it is not materiality, it is a material event. That material event is in the second law, the index of inactivity. That index of inactivity is a material event that gap has to be shrunk. Once the inactivity is 0 and you are able to get the first law fully energizing, liberating the matter, you are through, and you will be through the stratosphere. So it is very challenging, very interesting, and that will come to stay. Now, coming to the principle number 5, Emergent property phenomenon. The Nobel laureate Murray Gell-Mann beautifully expresses that. It's a very good one which everybody has to go through that tech talk. Emergent property, when he says, you don't have to add anything more to get something more. He explains on the three areas of simplicity and how it involves with the nature and how it is applicability of simplicity. What he says is will be good for the company in terms of bringing out the best. That is, the first four principles when followed, what comes out on the principle number 5 is the corporate yoga. You don't have to, when we do the yoga, we are not adding anything more. Actually, we are throwing out to the CARR, that is the reduction rate, like we do for the 2030 SDG targets, the reduction on this thing. So you are adding value in construct value in CAGR and deconstruct the valueless in CARR. That's what we apply in the corporate yoga. We got to reduce the unnecessary flabby things in the corporate. It's actually individuals. So when the ethical responsibility is undertaken, in accounting and management quality being fully at the full gear, and you have free performance and the corporate the fit as a fiddle. And this team of 500,000, boy, it will be, you can't compare them. They are, everybody is in the optimum level of performance. What it would generate, the enthusiasm between the people, and like competing in the 100 meters race, like Usain Bolt, and you have competing with the top performance, and you have like people going to say Osama bin Laden being killed, and those green guys are too big. You got to get that sort of an enthusiasm and perform. That is principle number 5. This is the thing which will be able to conform to the requirement of common metrics and consistent reporting of sustainable value creation. When you say consistent reporting, governance is a dynamic function. You are looking at your laptop to find out what is the performance level of every second, every minute. It keeps going up. Then you have consistent reporting. You can't do better than that.
Please see description for details of presentations and availability of book for sale. Based on the book Different Concepts: 1. The New Global Brand Name, Corporate Citizen. 2. Blueprint for $1 Trillion Indian Agri-Economy were presented. Project Elite is a step towards corporate civilization.